So last thing I want to talk about when it comes to culture and emotions, I could go on and on and on about that. Like I went ham on this, Mark. I spent way too much time because I just found it fascinating. But kind of the last idea is that your emotions are actually a type of social currency. Okay. So again, we kind of have this idea that emotions are personal, that they're just happening within us, and that they happen on a moment to moment basis. But actually what's going on is your emotions are signaling to the people around you. Are you part of this in group or out group? The vibe you have, like we've already talked about, right? Maybe that manifests in behavior in more collectivist cultures. Are you part of, you part of our in group or out group? And are you going to be a part of the social harmony that's created or not? When you see somebody being sad, what they're actually doing is they're probably trying to invite some empathy or some support from someone, right? Anger is usually you're demanding recognition or accountability from somebody else. Laughter, for example, that you're trying to create a sense of ease, like we talked about earlier with the Vietnamese kids laughing at your pain. Well, they were actually trying to create a sense of calm and ease amongst themselves. And inviting more of a closeness, a social closeness to each other. So emotions can be spent like that, like a currency. And to be aware of that, I think is a really important thing where you're going about, because some people don't value the same emotions that you do when you're trying to spend them. And that's where a lot of conflict comes as well.
I think this makes sense when you think of relationships as co-regulation of emotion, right? So if you're around somebody who is like very well emotionally regulated and generally is in a good mood all the time, that is valuable because their positive vibe and good mood and adaptability co-regulates your emotions as well. And so when you think of somebody who's very charismatic or magnetic, I think that's a lot of what's going on is that they're just exuding such positive emotions that they are co-regulating the people around them. And so that becomes a valuable currency, and you're willing to like make sacrifices to be close to that person, to spend time with that person, to hang out with that person. You have incentives to be around them, like a social currency. Inversely, you have kind of emotional vampires who seem to suck all of the emotions from the people around them constantly, and they're this bottomless pit of sympathy and misery and rejection and pity, and as a result, you feel like you're going broke by being around them, and so you just want to get away as much as possible. I had not heard this term social currency before we prepared for this episode, but I really like it. It's one of those things that like just intuitively makes sense to me, not just with the co-regulation thing, but like you see it show up in organizational behavior quite a bit. It was funny. I was having a conversation with a friend like a week ago, and his wife works at like one of the biggest corporations in the world. And this corporation's like currently going through a ton of layoffs. And so we were just kind of talking about like who's getting laid off at that company and who's not, and how it's kind of like his wife is observing that it's actually kind of funny which ones are getting the boot and which ones are being asked to stay. And he was telling a story. He said that she has this guy on her team who's literally been at this company for like 20 years and not a single person can explain what he does. Like nobody knows. He shows up to a meeting like once or twice a week. He seems to always be like, on Reddit or like watching YouTube videos. Like nobody knows what he's doing. He's been in the same position for 12 years. He's just chilling, but everybody loves him. Yeah. He's totally the culture guy. Like everybody, he brings donuts and coffee in the morning, and he like invites people to parties, and he's like always got cool stuff going on, and he's really funny, and he brings the energy and the meetings up. And we were just talking about how it's funny, how it's like this company, which has now gone through multiple rounds of layoffs in the last 5 years. And it's like, this dude does nothing, yet he's still there.
And he's still there.
He's still there. Cause obviously he's obviously bringing something.
So question for you. Did your friend, whose wife works for this big, corporation, are the layoffs related in any way to AI?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So
which actually
that's interesting.
Which would make sense why this guy,
right?
Because you can't automate.
I was just gonna say
you can't automate a good vibe.
Maybe that's what we all have to like. That's our new skill set. Like they need to start teaching college courses with social currency of emotion.
Pro career tip for everybody listening: start bringing donuts and coffee to work.
But I don't. I think you're right. I don't know if this is just me now too, but like I've gone pretty hard on like the content that I consume now online is a lot of comedians, and I think they've been having a moment, but they've been having a moment for several years now.
Yeah,
especially across social media, and it's because of that. Like there's social currency around making people laugh and making people feel good.
Yeah,
there's literal currency involved here too. You pay to go see this person tell jokes.
Absolutely,
it's insane, right? But that makes a whole lot of sense when you consider it in the context of social currency. So I don't know. Maybe that's why we all need to be just court gestures going forward, and that's going to be our job.
Court jester, super supportive friend, hype man.
Yeah.
And then also, like I think what you said too, a calming presence. You know, you could probably describe, you know, what a really good therapist does. A really good therapist, it's like 10% intellectual, 90% emotional. Right. Like really what a good therapist is doing is like co-regulating with you extremely well, like listening well, sympathizing well. And then like just knowing some of the questions to ask and, you know, where to poke and prod. But like most of it is just being very emotionally present and attuned and calm. Like being a calming presence, probably goes way further than like, you know, what school they went to or what certification they
100%.
have.
No, absolutely. I think that's the definition of a good therapist for sure. So yeah. Well, cool. Okay. That wraps up my culture deep dive here. I went real hard on it.